Hi guys, and welcome to Short Skirts and Sarcasm. I'm Caroline, and today I'm gonna try to do like a weekly reading vlog. I've never done this before, so we'll see how it goes. My goal for this week is to finish 3 of my e-arcs that I've gotten through Book Sirens and through NetGalley. So 1 is through Book Sirens, 2 are through NetGalley, and the first one is Road 7 by Keith Rosson. Now I've already read like the first chapter of this, and I'm not sure if it's intentional or not, but it's really funny. I think as I go through my vlog, I will share some choice quotes. So Goodreads says this is about this guy named Mark and this other guy named Brian. I think they're both PhD students in anthropology, and Mark is arrogant, and he has been advised by his lawyer to leave the country because he hit someone while he was driving drunk. So off to a bad start for Mark. And so he and Brian decide to go to rural Iceland to track down this unicorn sighting. So this is not the sort of book that I would usually pick up, but like I said in previous videos, I will read pretty much almost anything. So I read the first chapter, and I'm currently on my lunch break from a history conference, so I will keep this part short. And the second book I have is Skyward Inn by Aliyah Whiteley. Now, I've read The Beauty by Aliyah Whiteley before, and it was really weird. So I'm not sure if this is also going to be super strange or not so much. So the description for Skyward Inn is: within the high walls of the Western Protectorate is a place of safety where people come together to tell stories of the time before the war with Kita. But safety from what? Kita surrendered without complaint when Earth invaded. Innkeepers Jem and Isley, veterans from either side, have regrets but few scars. Their peace is disturbed when a visitor known to Isley comes to the inn asking for help, bringing reminders of an unnerving past and triggering an uncertain future. Did humanity really win the war? A thoughtful literary novel about conflict, identity, and community, a fresh new perspective in speculative fiction from critically acclaimed writer Aliyah Whiteley. And it is described as Jamaica Inn by the way of Jeff Vandermeer, Ursula Le Guin, Angela Carter, and Michael Faber. So I read Jamaica Inn last year and I did not like it. And my last e-arc that I have from NetGalley is Violeta Among the Stars by Dulce Maria Carduso, or possibly Dulce. This is a Portuguese book, I think, and it is translated by Angel Gorria Quintan. Any Portuguese speakers, please do let me know if I've mispronounced anything. And this is another drunk driving catalyst for this story, so there's clearly a theme in my e-arc reading vlog for this week. Desperate and drunk, Violeta overturns her car on a lonely stretch of late-night motorway. As she lies amidst the wreckage of her car, suspended between this world and the next, Violeta's life quite literally flashes before her eyes. Scenes from her past overlap with what happened right before the accident: her upbringing with a distant, critical mother, her troubled relationship with her daughter, her life on the road as she drives between waxing product selling appointments with breaks at motorway service stations, the abuse from other travelers mocking her size, the terrible service station cafes, the alcohol, the risky encounters with lorry drivers on filthy public toilet floors. Suspended in this eternity, Violeta examines the 1,000 daily grievances that add up to a frustrated, thwarted life. So this is giving me vibes of 10 minutes, 38 seconds in This Strange Place, which was one of my favorite reads of 2020. And that is by Elif Shafak, who is my favorite writer, so it follows that it was one of my favorite reads of 2020. And this is also, I mean, interesting because it does mention that part of her life is has been marked by the Carnation Revolution of 1974. And before I got into my current research topic, I did a lot of work during my undergrad and during my master's degree on the history of the independence movements in Angola and Mozambique, mostly Angola. I don't know that much about Mozambique, but they were colonized by Portugal, and a big trigger in their independence and decolonization, or the beginning of their decolonization, was sparked by the same Carnation Revolution of 1974. So I don't know much about metropolitan Portuguese history. So I think it's really interesting to have this perspective of the same event, but from the other side of, the historical coin, the colonial coin, the other side of the colonial coin. So I've got to go back to my conference, but I will keep you up to date with what I am reading throughout the week.
Chain link fence, asphalt and black mat. Take your shirt at the top and they cut it out careful. Spend your whole life digging ditches. Well, that's not what you signed up for. A jaded heart, callous palms, and the workers' pension. Thought the words, now you speak them. Burn the roof of my mouth when I spoke it. Let's find a box you can preach from. Soil's rich, let's break it to ground and snap.
Hi guys, welcome to my floor and my nonfiction shelf. So I thought I would chat to you while I do my makeup. So I got about 25% of the way through Road 7 last night, and I thought it was interesting that the description says that it follows Mark Sandoval, the arrogant guy who gets into the drunk hit and run. And as far as I can tell, it doesn't actually follow him. He's not the main character. It's this other guy, Brian, who is doing his PhD in anthropology, and he has gotten a job with Mark Sandoval. So, and I haven't seen any reference to the hit and run accident that Mark is supposedly involved in, which is a weird thing to put in the description if it's not going to be like in the first 25% of the book. So I'm really confused about that. But it is good so far. I did want to pick it up and read more of it this morning, but my Kindle has decided not to turn on. So hopefully that situation will be rectified soon. These are not usually the usual tools I use to do my eye makeup, but I washed my makeup brushes yesterday that I use more often. and they're still not dry. So I have to use these that I used to use more, and like they're not amazing. I got them from Primark for £1.
Knuckles grip through holes in the chain link. Fingers pierce the woven steel. It's twisted and coiled. Roof tiles and thumbtacks. Blood blister from the chain link fence. Asphalt and black cat. Tear your shirt at the top.
I'm also trying to sync up my Kindle app on my iPad, but it won't sync. So I'm wondering if there's something actually wrong with the Kindle software with I'm wondering if the problem is with Amazon and not necessarily with my technology in particular. So let's pray for Keith Rosson and Road 7, and Mark and Brian, and the unicorn.
Where they cut it, roof tiles and thumbtacks. Blood blister from the chain link fence. Asphalt and black cat. Tear your shirt at the top where they cut it. Roof tiles, Scott, hey, thumbtacks. Asphalt, stolen lighter, black cats.
I didn't get as far into Road 7 yesterday as I wanted to, because I had to do work and be productive and attend my conference. So I actually didn't get to like sit around and read until 11 p.m. So I didn't read a whole lot because I decided I needed sleep. It's as even as it's gonna get. I am still reading The Priory of the Orange Tree, and it is slow going because it is a big book, and the fantasy world is really well built, but because I don't read a lot of fantasy, I am having a bit of a hard time following it. Following court politics and the world building. This is not to say that Samantha Shannon is bad at world building, because I don't understand it. That's just me in epic fantasy. So it is my plan to reread this at some point, because Samantha Shannon's writing is really beautiful and evocative. And another thing I really like about this world is that it doesn't seem to have misogyny in it, which is a nice, refreshing thing that often in sort of like medievalist high fantasy is like, oh, well, it's set in a medievalist world, so there has to be misogyny, otherwise it's not believable. Like, I'm sorry, there's dragons, but that's believable, but not having misogyny in it isn't believable, which is one of the big issues that made me not enjoy Game of Thrones. So I'm still making my way through that. I think I'm on page 273. So I'm in part 2. I've put like little tabs to mark the start of each part, so I kind of know where I am. And parts 1 and 2 I think are the longest. Part 1 was about 250 pages, and I think part 2 is about 150 pages. So I'm just getting into part 2. And I am really enjoying it. Samantha Shannon has described this as a slow burn romance book. Well, not like a romance book, but it has a slow burn romance in it. So it hasn't really started yet. So I don't even know who is going to be romancing whom. And it also seems to have like a spy element in it, which I'm enjoying. Someone seems to be like a sleeper agent at court.
Gravel, drainage ditch, overrun with weeds, grocery bag held the wind presses against it. Bits of
Great, now that that's done, I can eat breakfast, and hopefully by the time I finish my breakfast, my Kindle or Kindle app will start to work. So fingers crossed for that. See you
broken
guys soon.
headlights scattered. Sun-baked plastic, it's all fake decay. Rain-soaked cardboard, mixed with construction sound, noises of pollution. Birds sing to the nature. Nature has its own movement. Fences put down to separate.
So I'm gonna take a break from reading and I'm gonna watch this ballet that you can get on Royal Opera House on their website. So I'm excited. This is one of my favorite ballets, and I have not seen the Royal Ballet perform this. I've seen the San Francisco Ballet perform it twice, and it was great both times. So I'm pumped. Nice handshake. Oh, it's very dapper. Everyone's sitting down. Hey, so I'm going to pause my booktube content for a second, and this is going to turn into a ballet tube account for like the next 5 minutes. So I just finished watching the on-demand stream of the Royal Opera House's production of Raymonde Act 3. So this is one of my favorite ballets ever, and I've seen it before, but by the San Francisco Ballet, and it has the same music, obviously, and also the original choreography by Marius Petipa, I think his name is. So I already knew the choreography. It was amazing. It was great. And I would really recommend, if you are into ballet or opera, you can get really, really cheap access to the Royal Opera House's productions. They're streaming them online. I think each production is like a limited time, but it's like £3. I think mine was. I think it's $2.50, and then there's like a 50p processing fee or something. So this like 40-minute Raymonde Act 3 was only £3. And traditionally, I mean, Raymonde is a 3-act ballet, but usually when ballet companies put it on production nowadays, they only do Act 3. I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, I did read like the whole synopsis of the entire ballet, the narrative arc, at some point, but basically Act 3 is Raymonde's wedding. So it's the big culmination, and I think it's probably like the best in terms of music and choreography. I haven't seen the rest of them because no one will put them on, but you have to assume. So a thing that I have noticed with the Royal Ballet is that the dancers don't always like stay in sync with each other, and you can see it especially with jumps and turns and endings. So you can see that like if there's a trio, like 2 of the dancers will have finished their turn or their jump while like the third one is starting their jump, and so it looks really strange. And this is not something I've ever noticed in the San Francisco Ballet. I haven't seen any other big ballet companies, I don't think. No, that's not true. I've seen the ballet company in Wiesbaden. I've seen them, and I didn't notice that they had those same issues, and neither does the San Francisco Ballet. So I think this is the third or fourth ballet production I've seen by the but this is the third or fourth production I've seen by the Royal Ballet Company. And this one and La Bayadere and Don Quixote all had this issue. And I'm not sure like what the problem is. Maybe it's that the dancers don't have enough like rehearsal time altogether, but that was an issue. But apart from that, I mean, I will still continue going to the Royal Opera House ballet, the Royal Ballet, but it's just something to be aware of. And another thing about the Royal Ballet, and this is not just the Royal Ballet has this issue, it's also a lot of other ballet companies that has this issue. All the dancers are very, very pale. I don't think I've ever seen a dancer as part of the Royal Ballet that's not either white or like very pale East Asian. And this is like a problem with the ballet and dance world more generally, that it is very, very pale and very exclusive to other dancers with darker skin. And if you would like to learn more about this, Chloe Angel is an author that has a blog, and also she has a book coming out, I think next May. So you can follow her on Twitter and subscribe to her newsletter. Her newsletter is called My Point Is, and point is spelled like a point shoe with an E on the end. It's very clever. And then her book that is coming out in May is called Turning Point, point again with an E on the end. So I've pre-ordered that. I'm so excited. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Ramonda Act 3. Worth a watch if you have £3 and 40 minutes. And I'm going to read for the evening with my cognac because I'm so fancy. Hey guys, it's Friday and I did not vlog for the past 2 days, but I did finish Road 7 and I am now 55% of the way through Skyward Inn. So I really enjoyed Road 7. It had a really, really strong beginning. Like the first 45% of it was really, really strong, and I was so intrigued and I was wondering where it was gonna go. And then it sort of dipped in the middle. It sort of had this sort of like thrillery vibe, and it was kind of melodramatic and over dramatic, which I didn't really love, which is why I don't often read thrillers, but the ending brought it back around. It had a really strong ending. So overall, I enjoyed it a lot. And I did also write a review of it, which is on Medium, and I will link it down below and you can go read that if you really want to. And Skyward Inn so far it's not as weird as I thought it was going to be, which is sort of the same problem I had with The Beauty. The way other people described it to me was that it was just mind-blowingly weird, and I was really excited for that, and I read it and it was only kind of weird. Like, it had a very strange premise, and it was very inventive, and but from that I didn't see anything surprising. Like, the world building was really strange, and I was like, oh, okay, this is weird. And I thought it was going to get weirder, but then everything that happened in it was sort of expected with how the world building was made. And this is sort of similar. It's even less weird than The Beauty, but I'm sort of enjoying the fact that a lot of it is it's minutes of council meetings, and I think it sort of shows the bureaucracy of colonialism. And I know that that's something I talk about a lot, that everything is secretly about colonialism if you dig deep enough. And I know that's mostly because of my research and how many years I've been digging around in trying to find nuggets of colonialism everywhere. So to me, this is a story of colonialism. So I am hoping that the last 45% of it is going to be more interesting. I'm hoping to finish that today, and then I will hopefully be reading Violeta Among the Stars over the weekend, and then I'll tell you about it. Something else everyone keeps asking me is what kind of tea I'm drinking. And today I have a lot of tea. I have a huge tea collection. If you want me to do like a tea collection tour, let me know. I can do that. It's not book related, but I do drink tea while I read. So it is book related, but today I am drinking the Fortinet & Mason's Royal Blend. This classic Fortnum's blend, low-grown flowery pekoe from Ceylon, lends an uplifting note to the maltier Assam to make a very traditional cup of tea. First blended for King Edward VII in the summer of 1902, Royal Blend has been popular ever since for its smooth honey-like flavor. This is sort of a classic black tea. It doesn't have a whole lot of added flavor, so it's just like a very sort of rich tea flavor without any bells and whistles added onto it. And I would say this is kind of similar to a breakfast tea, but I don't actually like breakfast teas because I find them to be sort of boring. And a lot of the times, especially with tea bag teas, it's what gets put into breakfast tea bags is just sort of the dust left over from higher grade higher quality teas. So I don't like them. I prefer loose leaf and I prefer things that aren't breakfast tea. So this is like a classic, perfect reading accompaniment. So as I promised, I was going to share all my favorite quotes from Road 7. So I've got a few. Brian, truly no slouch in the sentence designing department, given his long-running tenure as an academic man-baby, opened his mouth to speak. I work 60 hours a week, friendo. Who the heck has time to go shopping? I feel that. Peeling back the years of his life as a kid lifting rotten logs, looking for dark, skewering life hidden underneath it. I thought that was an amazing analogy, because you can just imagine, you know, yourself as a kid digging around in your backyard, and you can just smell the smell of rotting logs after like maybe some rain. You can smell the damp earth, and so I thought that was a really evocative quote. So the next one, it has a spoiler, so it has a name in it, and I'm going to remove that name. So person was a sad, pear-shaped man who had grown accustomed by now to his own self-contempt. And I feel this as well, though I'm not a pear-shaped man. But the rest of it, I think, really fits me. And the last one is my favorite one. Crazy how pain could become commonplace, like its own appendage, as familiar as a shirt you wore. And that one just got me. Because if you know me, you know I have migraine headaches and they hurt and they're terrible. And I also have really bad pelvic pain. So when I have a pain-free day, I'm like, oh, what's this? This is a new sensation. What's missing? Something's missing. What is it? And then I kind of remembered that I feel different because I'm not in pain. And it's an odd and unsettling realization to make. So there were obviously other quotes in this book that I really enjoyed, but they are all spoilers, so I will leave you to discover them by yourself.
Headlights scattered. Sun-baked plastic, all fake decay. Rain-soaked cardboard, mixed with construction sound, noises of pollution. Birds sing to the nature.
So I finished Skyward Inn, and I know I was just saying that, like, oh, it's not really that weird. I was expecting it to be more weird. The second half is so strange and so good. I loved it. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy the first half, but the second half was so interesting. And especially like one of the characters has befriended one of the aliens from what's the Kita? I think it's pronounced Kita. I am not sure. And they are trying to sort of understand each other better, and they use language to try to do this. And I've put on this Netflix show called Moving Art, sort of like in the background, because I didn't want it to be just a blank TV. And it's supposed to be mostly like landscape and animals. At least that's what I thought it was, but now it's people. Enjoy. Yeah, they go back and forth playing these word games, and the human person is talking about how there's thousands of languages on Earth. The other one says, no, there are 6: Chinese, Russian, Urdu, Swahili, Spanish, and English. And the human says, that's just the ones on the base. On Earth, there are many more. And then they start going into like puns and wordplay, and the Khitan being, they reveal that their language is like musical based. I thought that was super interesting. And I got to this part and it just cracked me up so much. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be funny. I think it was supposed to be deep, and it still is deep, but I thought it was also funny. And so I like took a time-lapse video, so you can probably see where I'm just losing it. I'm laughing so hard. So in this sort of questioning back and forth, the Khitan asks the human, where do babies come from? And the human is just like, what? And says the guy laughed at him. Somebody told me that it was the most difficult question you can ask a human. Is that true? I heard you squeeze them out of yourselves and cut them free. They do not decide to come free themselves. And the human says, well, no, I mean, they decide when to come out sometimes, I think. And the Khitan says, I think that's the worst thing I've ever heard about humans. So yes, I would really recommend reading Skyward Inn. I think the publication date, according to NetGalley, is March 16th, so it's not too far away. And the publication date for Road 7 is March 7th. And I think Violeta Among the Stars comes out in May, but I will double check that and we'll talk about it when I read it.
Headlights scattered. Sun-baked plastic, all fake decay. Rain-soaked cardboard, mixed with construction sound, noises of pollution. Birds sing to the nature. Nature has its own movement.